Hello, and welcome to another episode of This with Chris Show. I'm your host, Chris Dokia, and today I'm diving into a topic that touches many lives, many social settings, many milestones. And I'm talking about alcohol today. Now, through my career as a marketing executive in the finance industry, I've had the distinct pleasure of experiencing alcohol through a completely different lens as I am sober. A lens where I've had the unique ability to see how alcohol can inhibit performance, limit growth, and even take otherwise incredible leaders out of the running for promotions and things like that. I've seen it firsthand. It's very real. I plan to dig deep on this specific subject today, and the focus of this episode is to showcase the evolving influence of alcohol in American culture amongst younger generations, how technology and transportation are shifting the landscape, and a personal reflection on success, sobriety, and high performance. Now, I want to be super clear here, okay, guys? I am not here to shame anyone that drinks. And as I've shared before, I am sober, so I'm speaking from that vantage point. But this episode is about culture, trends, technology, and success. I'm curious about how alcohol fits into our lives today, how younger generations are drinking less, how the drinking and driving risk is being mitigated in different ways, and why many of the successful people I know don't drink, and whether that has any bearing on what they've achieved on how they live and the success that they've attained. So what I plan to do is breaking it up into three parts. One, what the data says about alcohol use today in America and the younger generations. Two, the shifts in drinking and drinking and driving culture thanks to transportation and technology. And lastly, I'll talk about my reflections on success, on sobriety and connection, and a deeper look at successful people in general who choose to abstain or drink significantly less, like limited, right? So again, alcohol use and the trends amongst the younger generations. I find this super fascinating because here's some stats, okay? Over the last decade, culture around alcohol in the U.S. has been truly shifting, okay? Here are those stats. Young adults ages 18 to 34 are less likely to say that they drink alcohol compared to adults, right, in previous decades. Other polling sources said 18 to 34-year-olds are the smallest share ever of the drinking class or audience. In 2023, a survey of Gen Z said that 1 in 5, or 21.5%, said they do not consume alcoholic beverages at all, and 39% said they only drink occasionally. The attitudes are shifting. Among 18 to 34-year-olds, 52% now believe moderate drinking is unhealthy, and that's up 34% from 2020. Okay? Underage drinking is down amongst youth ages 12 to 17, 7% only reported drinking alcohol, and they're going to get in trouble. Teen drinking in particular, in 2021, 22.7% of teenagers reported drinking alcohol at least once in the previous 30 days. And that is down approximately 38% from a decade prior. Same reporting cohort. A research article titled "The Correlation Between Alcohol and Success" found that amongst very successful people, many either don't drink very little, or attribute reduction to alcohol to their success. And so, Krish, what does all this mean? Younger folks in America are drinking less, point blank. More abstaining or drinking very little, and attitudes around alcohol's health risks are shifting. It's due to culture, it's part generational, part technological, part health conscious. The default of going out and having a few drinks is not really that universal as it once was. If you're younger or working with younger people, you may find that drinking is less of a social expectation and more of a choice, and that the peer pressure surrounding drinking is less intense than it was in past decades. Now that creates both opportunities and new social norms. Drinking and driving, okay? It is no longer the number one cause of death amongst certain ages. I forget what the report was, but a crucial aspect of it was that DUIs and DWIs, or alcohol impaired crashes, have seen the significant shift, right? Because of the technology that surrounds driving today. A study found that ride sharing in an area was associated with 6% less reduction in alcohol related traffic fatalities rather in the United States. Another data set shares rideshare usage, such as Uber and Lyft, reportedly made 60% of riders say they were less likely to drive under the influence. An increase of one rideshare trip per square mile was associated with a 2 basis point decreased odds of crashing or a crash being alcohol involved in a multi-city study. Okay. Portland, which they have their other issues, but when Uber resumed service in Portland, alcohol involved crash rate dropped 61.8%. Wrap your head around that. 61.8%. What this tells us, unlike in past decades where if I go out, I'll drive home drunk, was a common scenario, now alternatives like rideshare make it far easier, safer to opt out of driving under the influence. The culture around I should drive is being replaced by I'll call a rideshare, right? Or call a ride. For all of you that are listening, this is a positive shift. If you're going out, you've got more options to choose safety, to choose sobriety or moderation, to choose a smart exit strategy. And for the broader culture listening, it means fewer fatal crashes, right? Fewer trauma hospitalizations and less risk for everyone. Now I want to pivot more of a personal reflection as someone who is sober about success, about culture, and alcohol. All right. I'm not here to shame drinking, like I said. I respect people's choices. But I have repeatedly observed something in the world of high performers, entrepreneurs, leaders, and people I've worked with and met. Many of them don't drink or drink very little or choose sobriety. And I believe there are reasons worth considering. Right. And so here's my perspective on the whole deal. And I will still do a whole episode about my personal experience and journey with sobriety. OK, but look, many multi-millionaires and even billionaires that I've worked with, I've encountered, have made a conscious choice that they don't touch alcohol. They'll tell me about it. Right. It's about clarity, discipline, being grounded, avoiding risks, avoiding the hangovers, avoiding regret, avoiding moderation pitfalls. If you're aiming to build something long-term, a business, a brand, a legacy, the choice to abstain or significantly reduce alcohol can free up your energy, time, and focus, right? The decision becomes part of your culture. And it's common across the board for everyone I've spoken to. Because I'm sober, this is not theory for me. The clarity I gain, the relationships I build, the business meetings I attend with full presence, the ability to say no thank you, all of these matter. For the audience, look, you don't have to be sober to benefit from this, right? If you drink, fine, but be discerning. Is alcohol serving your goals, your relationships, your growth, or is it holding you back in subtle ways? And I know I won't get any sponsorships from any alcohol brands, and that's fine. Success in many cases comes from habits, right? From networks and mindset. If you surround yourself with people that are clear-headed, who choose rather than default, who lead rather than follow, you will find a different level of connection and performance. I've met people who, after a few years of business, choose to stop drinking entirely. And they tell me they feel happier, more grounded, less reactive, more present. That doesn't mean they're perfect, but that does mean that they're intentional. Now, here's a list of prominent individuals, business leaders, influencers, entrepreneurs who are reported to abstain from alcohol or significantly reduce it. okay, so first, right, and this is because he's a force to be reckoned with. He's a legend, right? Charlie Kirk, as a political commentator and the founder of Turning Point USA, he has publicly stated, "I don't drink. I don't drink alcohol, and it will set you back." Now, he did in an episode somewhere say he used to drink wine and what have you. Donald Trump, United States president, he abstains from alcoholic beverages. He's publicly spoken about it. Warren Buffett, and happy retirement, 94, almost 95 years old, and 60 years of Berkshire Hathaway, who is retiring, has stated he has never drank alcohol or smoked, and he aims to preserve his health, and that is why he's about to celebrate his 95th birthday. If you've heard of John D. Rockefeller, I know it's almost the holidays and everyone's at the Rockefeller Center, industrialist, philanthropist, is included in a list of billionaires who didn't drink alcohol. Larry Ellison, okay, co-founder and longtime lead of Oracle Corporation, and I believe TikTok soon, if I'm not mistaken. He says, "I can't stand anything that clouds my mind," and doesn't drink alcohol. Howard Hughes, right, the business tycoon, aviator, film producer, not Leonardo DiCaprio, but plays Howard Hughes in the movie, didn't drink and didn't smoke. Right? Elon Musk, while he does drink occasionally, he probably celebrated after the $1 trillion package got signed. He said, "Once you acknowledge that alcohol is poison, it's fine to drink a little," but goes on to minimize consumption. Okay, Indra Nooyi, I hope I'm saying her name right, former CEO of Pepsi, right, or PepsiCo, in her memoir noted that she didn't drink alcohol beyond a few sips of wine, especially in social settings. Steve Jobs, rest in peace, co-founder of Apple, included in the list of wealthy people who never drank alcohol. What you'll notice that many of these names span high finance, business tech, political spheres, billionaires. They're not perfect models. I'm not saying that. But they do follow a pattern of sobriety or minimal alcohol use, right? And it appears in their lifestyle and they're public about it. The correlation doesn't prove causation, but it's a pattern worth exploring. And why does this all even matter, right? Well, alcohol can be an invisible time leak. Socializing, recovery, hangovers, less clarity. High performers tend to protect their time and especially their clarity fiercely. Abstaining or significantly limiting may send signals that I'm fully present, I value my health, I'm fueling downtime with a habit. Like it can set a culture in your network. If your circle expects, "I'll meet you at 6 p.m. for 2 glasses of wine," skipping means you're reshaping expectations. For someone building something long term, even small habits will add up. The decision around alcohol becomes part of a much broader decision set, right? Health, relationships, focus, and legacy. Now, as culture continues to shift, right, we're seeing younger Americans drink less, fewer alcohol-impaired crashes thanks to transportation alternatives, and many more high performers consciously opting out of alcohol. And if you're building, striving, and creating, you don't have to be sober to succeed, but you do have to choose to be intentional about how alcohol fits into your life. Now, alcohol use amongst younger Americans is continuously trending downward, and I'm thankful for that. Fewer young adults drink regularly, and more abstaining or drinking very little. The shift is cultural. Health concerns, moderation, technology, changing norms, like I've said. The big ups to Uber and Lyft and all the transportation tech changes for providing better options that ultimately are resulting in reduced risks, right, that were formerly associated with drinking and driving. For higher achievers, many are choosing sobriety, right, or minimal drinking as a conscious part of success culture. Now, you don't have to be sober. You don't. I have a problem with alcohol, so I am sober. I don't mean to laugh, but by being intentional about alcohol and about how it fits into your goals and your relationships and your growth, that's a powerful choice. Now, if you're in a network or a business or a startup or in growth mode and growth phase, considering how alcohol influences your energy, your focus, your network, your company may be in question, and your strategies will be often. I don't even know where I'm going with that. But listen, that's it. That's all I got. Thanks for listening to this episode of This with Krish. Like if you enjoyed it, maybe you'll benefit from a fresh take on alcohol culture. If you're sober, congratulations on your journey. If you're thinking about reducing or modifying your consumption, this may be the perfect moment. And if you drink and you're happy with that, carry on. Just carry on with awareness and intention. Now, in the next upcoming episodes, I'm going to be covering something that I experienced in the last week, and I've been dealing with for a better part of, I don't know, 1.5 to 2 decades, and that's kidney stones. And so I'm going to talk about kidney stones. I'm also going to talk about just H2O, water. And I hope you'll find it interesting. I had to do a little bit more research. I was prepared to talk about it sooner, as I was passing a kidney stone this past weekend, you guys. But I wanted to make sure that I had some really good statistics and information to share with you, and the correlation between both water and kidney stones. And this isn't true for all kidney stones, but there is a correlation there that I do want to share. Anyway, if you haven't been to the website, we are posting multiple articles a day. We've got some team members, or some volunteers, I should call them, working on the website as well to become more of a resource for you for news and sports and finance and just all things. So that's all for today. Again, go to YouTube, follow, subscribe, like, share, comment. We're on Spotify as well and literally everywhere. So go find us, This with Krish. Thank you. And as always, I love y'all.